Speaking of appraisals, are they, when it comes to appraising a property for a VA loan, like how does that work? Is it difficult to get approval for that, or what's the process?
So historically, the VA, sometimes they get a bad rap because of the appraisals. And I think it's just, the main issue is that sometimes it takes a little longer. Okay, so for example, the VA hires their own appraiser. This is not like when you're doing conventional or FHA, the lenders usually have an appraisal management company that they reach out to, they order the appraisal and it goes out. No, with the VA, they have their own pool of appraisers that are certified. There's different kind of certifications that they have to get to be a VA appraiser. And so sometimes there's a little delay in that. I've not seen the difference, like I have not gone through the difference of what the end result of a VA appraisal versus conventional is, but I'm sure there's different. The report's probably a little different on what they have to submit, but it takes a little bit longer. But the really cool thing with a VA appraisal is that what they have is called Tidewater. And Tidewater is a period of which a VA appraisal goes out to the house, and say he's like having trouble coming up with comps to support the purchase price. Because all appraisers, they get either a copy of the sales contract or they know what the purchase price is for the house. So say they're out at a house that's $1 million house and they're only coming up with comps that would support like 900 or 950. Well, rather than submitting that report automatically back to the lender, they use this Tidewater process where they reach out to the lender, the listing agent, the buyer agent. They're like, hey, I'm having trouble. If you can send me over some comps that I'm not finding to help support an appraisal at the purchase price, I'm all ears. And that's crucial because so many times, especially VA appraisers, they may not be super local to your market. They're not, they could be coming from Port St. Lucie and doing a Jupiter veteran appraisal. They may not know this market and they may have a hard time finding good comps. So the fact that they do allow this period of time where agents can weigh in and provide some of those is huge. And I've seen at least 5 times where the appraisal, because of that, the appraiser was able to update it and the house did appraise for the veteran. So that's a really nice benefit of the appraisals with the VA.
That's pretty cool. Is that something that they just automatically do if they can't reach the number, or is it something you sort of have to ask them?
They'll automatically do it.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, if it appraises, they move on.
Right.
But if it's like close and they're having a trouble finding those comps, they reach out and they initiate that process.
How often does it happen where the comps are just off? And
I think it depends in the market. Like the VA is not going to be necessarily harder on the appraiser. I mean, everyone wants to make a deal work, right? Like if any buyer is willing to pay a certain price for a house, then that's what market is dictating. So that's what they should be able to purchase it for. Now, the VA is going to protect that veteran from overpaying, even with any borrower. The lender, the appraiser is going to protect them in that sense, so it's not crazy. But, it's not that the VA makes it harder to appraise a house. They follow the same process. They just have this neat little process, interrupter, the Tidewater, that they can use in case where they have trouble.
So how does that work does that make the offer unattractive to the seller? Like when a VA loan, that's a VA loan, stay away from that. Like how do you deal with that? Okay.
And that's a great question because, again, I think it's education. It's like 100%. That's why I tell people, just go to JTHS or APB, take a class on VA loans or, working with veterans. Like I did, I'm MRP certified military relocation, program. I don't know, like there's different certifications that you can get to kind of really educate yourself. But I think that a lot of agents who have not seen VA loans or don't have experience with it, they get nervous. And then sellers, if they're not being educated and explained by their listing agent, they get nervous because there's always kind of been this bad rap around the VA. And the reason is there's 2 reasons. One, the appraisal. They're afraid that it's going to take too long. And then two, the other part, VAs are the only loan that mandates a termite inspection. You must have a termite WDO inspection for a VA loan. In most states in this country, the veteran is not allowed to pay for that inspection. The seller has to. So, I mean, listen, it's like, what, $75? Like, it's like not that much. It's an add-on. Like, the veteran pays for the home inspection, the 4-point, the wind mitt. But the termite, in most states in the country, the veteran was not allowed to pay. In Florida now, just in the last 3 or 4 years, I think, now the veteran is allowed to pay for the termite inspection. Okay, so again,
that's a weird rule.
It is. It is. You know, it's the termites and then wood rot, you know, any wood destroying organisms that come up, those things. Like, even when I purchased one of our first homes with the VA loan, there was like a little bit of wood rot on the trim. I didn't care. I was a buyer. I did not really care. It wasn't a big deal. But the VA said, no, you cannot, not only can you not pay for the inspection, the seller has to pay for it, you cannot pay for the repairs to treat it. The seller has to pay for it. Okay, and so that is still in place. So the veteran can pay for the inspection, but the veteran cannot pay for the repairs. So I'll give an example with that. So I have a client we're closing next week getting a VA loan. There's no termites, but there's like a tiny little bit of wood rot on the bottom of a door. So insignificant, but, you know, the inspector was doing their job and, you know, they put that on their report. So the lender got a copy of that and they said, okay, well, you got to have that repaired before we can close, and you have to have the inspector has to issue a new WDO report that says there's no more wood rot, okay? So the seller wasn't going to pay for that, okay? And my buyer could not pay for it, so I ended up, you know, paying for that out of my pocket, and I got the clear WDO to get the deal done. So I think it's a mixture of just educating, and then if you're working with a veteran, you need to know the process, and you have to understand the veteran themselves of, you know, what their expectations are. So they're being told, no, you cannot pay for those repairs. Well, you know, who's going to pay for it? You know, so if it was major, if it was a termite, then it's probably a different story. Most sellers are going to be responsible for termites, but a little bit of wood rot, not a big deal, took care of it.